peace, progress, and prosperity. Always remember, you are not alone.
So today, we're talking about sex. Your sexual health as a man in relation to your mental health. Today's topic is the other room. Men's longevity, sexual health, and the ego. That's what we're talking about today. And I'm sure some of you are excited. I'm excited to talk about it. I mean, there's been stigmas surrounding men talking about the sexual health, in longevity, performance, and all that. I think it's time to start having that conversation. Some people have started already. I mean, it doesn't hurt to join them. So let's get right to it. Welcome to another episode of this podcast, Brother Skipper. My name is Onola Fatoba, your brother from a distant mother. And I am my brother Skipper until the last day that I draw my last. And welcome once again. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe if you haven't. It is very, very important. At this point in time, you haven't subscribed. Why? What are you doing? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. So, society often expects that a man's sexual performance, longevity, and sexual health generally should be impeccable, top-notch. And this can be because of stereotypes and media portrayals of what a man should be or do. And I can tell you that some of these things affect men's mental health and sexual health and ego generally. So today we're going to be talking about longevity and sexual performance. And then we'll get to how it affects your ego and how you can, work on it so that it doesn't, affect your mental health. And, touch on a few things here and there. So, longevity. There's this idea that, society places a premium on younger men. They believe that younger men should be able to fire. They should be able to do, they should be able to perform exceptionally in the other room. And yeah, while that may be true, while, younger men are studs and stallions, that, it's true. It also kind of alienates, young men who don't have that prowess, so to speak. Now, productivity in terms of success, career, and sexual health is also an expectation of the society. And health and fitness. Men are often expected to maintain a very high level of physical health and fitness, maybe even up until their 50s, 60s, 70s. And, the society expects that you defy natural, traditional aging, and it can contribute to focusing on your physical appearance and the pursuit of an idolized, image of your body. Society often expects that as a man, you should be able to perform impeccably. You should be able to perform outstandingly for as long as you live, for the longest duration of your life. And I think this is quite unrealistic. I mean, the same way a 17-year-old or let's say a 16-year-old that's just introduced to sex, the same way he will perform is not the same way a 29-year-old will perform. It's not the same way a 35-year-old will perform. It's not the same way a 45-year-old will perform. It's not the same way a 50, 60, 70, 90-year-old man will perform. Then there's also that pressure to perform. Like, you have to be able to go long rounds and many rounds. You can't be arriving, you can't be coming in 1 minute, 2 minutes. And you should be able to, do like 4, 5, maybe 6 rounds. I don't think that. Well, maybe some people do it. Maybe, people have done it. I can't say. But I feel like, yeah, if you are tired, you are tired. Just go and sleep. It's not a competition. It's not a marathon. It's sex. It's more or less like, internal exercise. It's what's it called? It's a sexual stimulation. It shouldn't be a job. It shouldn't be a task. the way society and women expect it to be. Let's talk about the stigma that surrounds sexual dysfunction, like, quick ejaculation, erectile dysfunction, imbalanced sexual health. You see, there's this stigma among men where you can't really talk about what is wrong with you sexually because they believe it makes you less of a man. It shows that you are not satisfying your woman, and then it means that you are inadequate. As a man, you are incomplete. This isn't true. You see, it's not true because we are not all created equal. Not everybody doesn't have the same level of stamina and strength and ability and agility and sterility. It's not possible. People vary in all these things. So I believe your task as a man is to find that level, is to find your limit and constantly try to push it. Now, we need to take away this stigma surrounding communication about sexual health. Men need to stop shaming men. Women also need to stop shaming men. The society at large needs to stop shaming men about, their sexual health and sexual dysfunction. It doesn't mean you're less of a man. It just means you're experiencing something. It's a phase and it will pass. It's as simple as that, as far as I can tell. Navigating the standards that have been set by society can be very, very intricate, and it affects a lot of men to the extent where some men are scared of growing old. They are scared of aging because they believe that once they start aging, their performance will drop, and it's destabilizing. It messes with you in a way that it just looks like it's sex. It's just sex and ordinary sex. Why then should it, why is it that important? We'll get to it. We'll get to how a man's sexual health or his performance affects his ego. But before then, let us explore the impact of aging on physical and mental well-being briefly. So there's muscle and mass. That's, aging is associated with the gradual decline of muscle and mass and strength generally. It can impact your mobility, your balance, and your overall physical health. There's also bone density. Your bone density tends to decrease over the years. There's metabolic changes. The way your body processes things, food, a lot of things, it begins to change. It kind of slows down the older you get. There's also cardiovascular health. There's joint health. And speaking about mental well-being, there's the cognitive decline. The older you get, the less mental capacity you can exert. There's emotional well-being, there's mental health conditions, there's resilience, and there's quality of life. Now, resilience and quality of life in the sense that despite the challenges that you may experience sexually and mentally, some individuals still exhibit remarkable resilience. That is, if you work on yourself, your mental and your physical health, it's going to show up in your sexual health. So you need to do a lot of exercises, both physical and sexual exercises. My brother, you need that. It is important. Now, the quality of life in the sense that, your lifestyle choices, your dietary choices, these are things that can help your sexual health and also impact your mental health overall. Let's talk about the impact of aging on sexual health. And I feel like the senior men, the older guys are more concerned in this aspect. There's erectile dysfunction. There's a decline in libido and desire, and there's also ejaculatory changes. There's sensitivity and arousal. There's prostate health, which is one of the serious things that men today are battling with. Prostate health, prostate cancer. There's cardiovascular health, like I've mentioned before. There's hormonal changes. There's psychological factors. The fact that you've been stressed about various things over the years. And, some things just tend not to matter anymore. There's also medication and health conditions. There are some health conditions that, over time, you're bound to experience them. And then, certain medication tend to affect, like the side effects of it transmutes or shows up in your sexual life. Then there's the relationship dynamics, which I think is also very important in this regard. So this your sexual health who are you involved with? What kind of connection do you have with that person? So it is important to know that while aging, there are certain things that will affect you. You can't push them aside. They are inevitable. You have to internalize them and understand that they are coming. You have to accept that they are coming. You have to come to terms with the fact that they will eventually happen. You can't run away from them. Let's now talk about the ego and self-esteem. Society actually plays a very significant role in a lot of things that we do. And there's this expectation, or let me say perception, as to a man's self-worth in terms of his finances, his physique, what he looks like, how he conducts himself. And these perceptions and expectation often impact men mentally, sexually, psychologically, on different levels. Now, let's start from the body image standard. Society, or let me say women or society at large. Let me not so it doesn't seem like I'm attacking women. Society at large kind of places, there's this premium that comes with a particular body type. So as a young man, you have to be fit. You can't have pot belly. Your six packs has to be there. Your biceps and triceps, your chest has to be, everything has to be on point. You have to have pointed chins and a very pronounced jaw, and all those things. And you find out that not everybody is genetically predisposed to these features. There are people who are ectomorphs. There are people who are endomorphs. There are various body types. And there are people who naturally have high body fats and low metabolism. So no matter what they do, no matter how much they work out, no matter how many exercises or sit-ups they do, they will still have pot belly and they will still have thick neck. It is natural for them. So because society places an expectation, or they have this perception of a man should be like this, a man should be like this, it affects you that you are not like that, and you become so self-conscious that you might even take decisions that are counterproductive to your health and your physique. Now let's talk about professional success. This is one of the elements that men are often defined with. Now, society expects that a man's worth should be determined by the heftiness of his pocket, and men who don't conform to traditional career paths, or who are not traditionally successful, they may struggle with finding their worth, or their self-esteem in the society, because society defines success differently from what they have. Another thing is emotional expression. So there's this idea that men shouldn't express themselves emotionally. I don't know where it started from, but I will keep addressing it on this channel. It is wrong. Men to have emotions. They need to speak up. They need to be heard. They need to express themselves. They need to tell you about things that are worrying them. You can't just expect that, because he's a man, you should keep quiet about it. No, it doesn't work like that. He needs to speak up. He needs to be heard. You need to find out what is wrong with that man. So we need to start ditching this idea that, as a man, you should be strong, man. You're supposed to feel body and you're supposed to feel rugged, move on. Nah, it's unhealthy. Trust me. It's mentally, and it's physically, mentally, and sexually unhealthy. Moving on to sexual prowess. So society believes that as a man, your performance in the other room should be impeccable. And if you're not, it begins to mess with yourself, your self-esteem, how you see yourself, and maybe even a relationship with your partner. And you may begin to struggle with certain things internally. And because, remember, you're not supposed to express yourself emotionally, you begin to suffer in silence. My brother, no kill yourself. Look, do what you can do. I'll go and sleep. go asleep. It is not an Olympic sport. It is just exercise. So now, let's talk about the positive aspects of fulfilling societal norms, and then the negative aspects. To start off, there's the social acceptance where, they feel like, oh, because you're living up to the standards that the society has set, you are a upright or upstanding member of the society. So there's that sense of acceptance. There's also validation and recognition, which comes with that social acceptance. There's enhanced self-esteem. So you feel like, okay, I'm doing what, they say we should be doing 7 rounds. I'm doing 8 rounds. Yes. And I'm a man. I'm strong. I'm strong. But I don't kill yourself. There's also the relationship success. So because of the idea that, oh, they say we should be doing 7 rounds, or it's 6 rounds that, my woman, it's 6 rounds that satisfies my woman, but I'm doing 8. So you feel like, she will always come back for more, so you feel that sense of security in your relationship. And then there's this emotional well-being that comes with it. There's that, living up to the standards of the society and, just conforming to the traditional norms that the society has set. It gives you this sense of emotional well-being, like you're a wholesome person, you are complete, you've done your best, you're trying, you're doing well. It gives you that sense of security in that regard. Now, moving on to the negative consequences of falling short of societal norms. Number 1, there's the social stigma. He is a 1 minute man. Voila. He cannot get it up. Wahala. After 1 round, he's done. Wahala. That's, there's that, deviating from societal norms kind of makes you struggle with certain things. You become labeled. You can contribute to a feeling of isolation and a sense of being an outsider, so to speak. There's that idea of self-doubt and insecurity. It brings about self-doubt and insecurity when you do not conform to, the norms of the society. It also has a strain on your relationship, your career, and probably some financial challenges. And then its impact on mental health can be pressurizing to the extent where if you perceive yourself as falling short of society's norms and expectations, you begin to judge yourself internally to an extent where it has a very serious impact on your mental health. There's also identity struggle. So you begin to struggle with who you are and what you are as a person. And you ask yourself, why less of a man? I mean, my mates are doing 7 rounds and I can only do 3. I can manage 2 or maybe even 3. And you begin to ask yourself, what is wrong with me? My brother, nothing is wrong with you. That's your own limits. Don't kill yourself. The link between sexual health, ego, and self-esteem for men. So, it's intricately connected to, sexual health is intricately connected to a man's sense of self and ego. And, society's emphasis on, high performance or perpetual virality can often influence how men perceive themselves and their self-worth. So one of the things that happens, or one of the things to note, is identity and sexual expression, intimacy and connection, validation and acceptance. Now, what this means is, because sexual health contributes to your overall identity and self-expression, a positive sexual experience can enhance your self-esteem to the extent where you feel like you are king. Also, a negative one can impact your self-esteem to the extent where you feel like you are trash. It's a two-way street. Then intimacy and connection. A healthy sexual relationship fosters emotional intimacy and a strong connection. While, it's also the other way around. Then positive sexual experiences can contribute to a sense of belonging, and it strengthens the emotional bond between you and your partner. Also, validation and acceptance. So society, equates your sexual prowess to how well you are desired and your level of masculinity. So if you do well, to be man. And, all the women kind of want to like, oh, women are attracted to stuff like that. So, it enhances your sense of masculinity. But if you know the try, you are not a man, and it affects your your level of masculinity. Now, while this may all seem comic because of the way I'm passing it off, it's also it's a very delicate topic for men because there's a lot of stigma surrounding it. Now, I'm trying not to be judgmental to people who might feel maybe who might feel connected to the negative side of this topic, because I do not want to contribute to the stigma that society has already, is already perpetrating. So if you're not performing well as a man, there are things that you can do. There are, exercises, there are stuff that you can do to get you, to your optimum game. Now, you also have to have in mind, you are not, my brother, it's not by force to do what other people are doing. Do your best and leave the rest. Do what you're capable of and move on.